Greetings, friends. Welcome again to another episode of DEF CON 5, a series I'm putting together about the City of Heroes on the Homecoming servers, where I'm taking a look at defenders and controllers, the two OG support archetypes here in the game, trying to figure out which one of these is the superior supporting set. Both of these classes share a common set of support buffing and debuffing powers, and so I've set up a series of 5v5, one at a time, a pair at a time, taking a look at these defenders, these controllers, and seeing if either one of them shines and rises to the top when looking at their sets side by side. And in this level of DEF CON 2, we have gotten ourselves to Kinetics. And last episode, I put together a video talking about this power set and also going over the pair of characters that I am putting together as a head-to-head competition. We've got, for the defender side, using Kinetics, Radiation Blast, and Psionic Mastery, is Chakra, a mental guru who is kind of like using the force, if you will, in order to manipulate movements and blasting with cosmic beams and whatnot. And then on the controller side, we've got Deimos. He is using Earth Control in combination with Kinetics and Earth Mastery. And the idea here being that he's some sort of seismic manipulating, telluric current channeling, power suit wearing dude that can use these powers to alter the crust of the earth as a weapon, and alter magnetic forces, gravitational forces to accelerate and decelerate objects. And when I went ahead and talked about the two characters, I ended up leaving off with a coin toss as to who was going to start off the competition here, and we landed on Deimos, the controller. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into his character today, look at his mids build, and then actually run some solo test action just to kind of showcase what his powers can do. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and take a look in a little bit more in depth on the Earth control side and see exactly what this power set brings to the table in combination with Kinetics to see if the idea I have is sheer madness or just genius. All right, so Earth control. Let's dive into this. So we're going to go over to our Cydia data in order to get some of the specs on all these numbers. So let me go ahead and kind of zoom in. Now, last episode, I kind of gave a quick overview of what these powers can do. And the common theme you can see, and this is also common to what Chakra, my defenders, is bringing in, there's a lot of minus defense in these powers. You can see it here in Stone Prison, Fossilized Stone Cages, Salt Crystals, Stalagmites, and Earthquake. So that's, 2 out of the 3 powers that he has accessible are going to have this debuff of defense. This is very similar to what you're seeing with Radiation Blast on my defender side, where 8 out of 9 powers have minus defense. So the idea here for both of the characters is to use the minus defense to make it easier for your kinetic abilities to hit. Because the Achilles heel on Kinetics is a bunch of your powers are foe targeting. So you have to hit an enemy in order to get your buff and the debuff to fire. So got to make sure I hit them, and especially important with a controller who doesn't have access to something like aim. My defender does have aim, at least in his power set. He can choose it from Radiation Blast, but you don't have that here in your secondary set or your primary set of Earth control for the controller. So need to find a way in order to boost my chances to hit with those kinetic things. And I think Earth Control brings that with all this minus defense. So that's one of the major reasons I'm going to be going for Earth Control. The other thing, of course, is it's just a super powerful set. I mean, it's probably one of the most just raw control powers out there, with lots of patches that you can drop and get a bunch of debuff and control out of them. Things like quicksand, volcanic gases, and earthquake. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pull up these the stats, the numbers on these powers one at a time. We're going to go over to City of Data, check it out. We're going to illustrate some stuff and go over some of the numbers and just talk through the process, or at least the powers and what they can do, a little bit more detail than I did in the last episode I put out, and then I'm going to actually pull up the mids build for Deimos, and we can take a look at the slotting and what sort of sets I want for the bonuses. All right, so let me give me a second. Let me get the City of Data open. All right, here we go. So we got City of Data. We're going to go over here and pop open the controllers, and we're going to pull open Earth Control, and then I'm going to maybe scoot this over a little bit just so we can center it a little bit better for us. There we go, a little bit better. All right, so here is the list of powers that we're looking at. And let me scooch this a little bit. All right, here we go. So we're going to go one power at a time, see what we have available to us, look through some of the numbers, and then we'll go take a look at the mids build and see where I went with these things. So you got your single target hold known as fossilize. So nothing magical or special about that being a tier 1, tier 2 option. But it does bring the minus defense. So I kind of want to focus on some of these percentages because I think by stacking a lot of this minus defense, you'll see where I'm going with this idea. So first things first, you'll notice that all these controller holds and whatever else they have, usually you'll see this double number where you got a 100% chance of whatever it is, in this case mag 3 hold, and then you got a 20% chance of a mag 1. This is that whole overpower feature that the controllers get as an archetype benefit. So they can have what are known as critical holds or critical controls. So the standard power, 100% of the time is going to apply a mag 3 hold, which is enough for minions and lieutenants. But if you want to hold a boss, you need to get a mag 4. So in order to do that, you can either hit them twice with this to stack it up to 6, or on occasion, 20% chance, you're going to throw an extra mag 1 out there. It's not as long as your base control, but it does give you that instant 3 plus 1 here to give you a mag 4. So you can one-shot hold bosses 20% of the time. So not always reliable, but it's reliable enough. So that's the first thing that I want to just point out. I'm not sure I've really discussed that too much in my other controller builds at this point, but that's what that whole overpower means. And then you've got your base defense debuffing here. So minus 20% defense debuff. So that's pretty chunky. It's on par with what I was seeing with Radiation Blast and Chakra when I talked about his stuff. And so, if we hit with this, we're going to lower our enemy's ability to not get hit again. And I just want to see, does it stack? Yeah, so it says stacking is per caster, and it does replace the existing effects. So it's off the screen. You guys can't see this, but there's a little symbol over here, a little icon that I'm mousing over right now, just says replaces existing effect. So translation, you can't just keep piling 20% debuffs until, they're minus 1,000. Every time you hit this thing, that's just going to replace the previous debuff. But it does have 20%. It does last for 12 seconds. That's pretty chunky. The other thing to watch out for or be aware of is that it does prevent knock up, knockback. So, what that means is if you hit somebody with your fossilize, they can't be knocked back because you're giving them 1,000% resistance for that 12 seconds. So if you're trying to rely upon knockback somehow in conjunction with holding them, well, it's not going to work because you're not going to knock them. Let's see, what else is there in here? The other thing I want to point out is there is the damage, of course. You're going to be doing smashing damage. But there's also, I think it says, yeah, so the other thing to remember is that you can get containment on targets as well, which is going to give you a chance for damage boosting. So that is also, I'm trying to see if I can see it here. Actually, yeah, I'm looking right at it. So here, this is what this up here, you can see the base damage. So you get the hold, but you also do like 30.5 points of smashing damage. What this says down here, you got 100% chances if your target is being held, immobilized, slept, and you hit it with this power, you're going to do the containment damage, which is a double damage. So you're going to hit once, hit twice, a double hit. So that is your damage for this power. So it's not like, over the top, but it's going to do some damage. I think Earth Control in general is not a super damagey set. But I'll show you my thoughts on how I can milk more out of it. because a lot of the enemies you're going to hit are probably going to have smashing resistance. So all your damage for the most part is smashing. A Stone Prison, we have another single target attack. This one is again minus defense. It also is going to have a minus fly. So it's similar to the knockback that you're going to prevent with Fossilize. Here you're going to prevent flying. And so if we take a look at the numbers, it's doing less damage, I think, overall. So it says here that you're doing 6 damage every 2 seconds for 9.2 seconds. So that means it's going to fire the initial hit of 6, and then it's going to tick at 2, 4, 6, 8 seconds. I don't know why it goes out to 9, whatever. Why is it not? I don't know if that covers the animation time or something like that. I don't know. Why not 10? Why not 8? Don't ask me. But it looks like your initial pop, and then you're going to tick 1, 2, 3, 4 more times if I'm doing my math right. So it should be around 30, which is similar to the damage you get from Fossilize, although Fossilize is just a one-shot pop. Then you're going to get the chance again for the containment damage here, another double damage proccing. The symbols with the person, those are PvP effects. The planet picture, those are global effects. And then you have a Mag 1 20% critical control here. That goes with your Mag 4 immobilized right out of the box. This is not as important that you get the critical immobilizes, because the immobilizer already out of the box, a Mag 4 is enough to immobilize a boss, immobilize an AV, without purple triangles up. I don't know if the Mag 5 combo is enough for an EB, the elite bosses. I thought they were like 6 or 8 magged in order to control them out of the box. So I think even that's, again, if I crit with this immobilize, I don't think it's 5. I think it's more, 6 or more. Anyway, just throwing that out there. And then you also have the minus 160% fly. So that, of course, is going to prevent targets from escaping by flying. You're also applying a minus 20% debuff of defense. So between this and Fossilize, you've hit for minus 40 defense. They can't be knocked down, knocked back. They can't fly, and they're taking some damage over time and some just straight smashing damage. So those are your bread and butter first 2 single target attacks. Nothing major crazy special about them. I think the only thing that I'm not seeing here, which is a little bit strange, and I'll have to double check in game, but the one thing I'm noticing, I don't see that these controls take minus defense sets, which is odd to me considering they do so much minus defense. Why not be able to slot them? From what I'm seeing here, you can slot them with your attack sets, controller sets, holds, that sort of thing. But why can't you slot it for minus defense? It does 20%. Maybe that'd be too OP. I don't know, but I mean, it does a decent chunk out of the box anyway. But something like that's cool if you can find a way to, use your powers beyond just, oh, it's a damage or control. Why not turn it into a pretty solid single target debuffing with some accurate defense debuff sets? All right, so those two are the first two. Then you got your AoE immobilize. So this is your third power that you're probably going to take because you need to get damage from something as a controller. And these are the ways you would do that. We have another immobilize. This one, the AoE immobilize, is not strong enough as is in order to get the bosses immobilize. So the chance for the critical control with this is useful, at least to get your bosses locked down with one shot. And there is a 50% chance for that critical hold, or sorry, that critical control to proc. The damage on this one looks like it's about half, a little bit less than what the single target attacks are doing. It's 3 every 2 seconds for 5 seconds. So if your initial hit at time 0 is 3, then you proc it 2, you proc it 4, well, you tick it 2 and 4, and then again, that's it. So 1, 2, 3, looking at 9 damage, but you can hit up to 16 targets with it. So, each individual target's not going to take a ton of damage, but I can get it to proc maybe some extra damage procs in here. up to 16 targets. That's pretty doable. And then the other thing you're going to get out of this power, which is, in maybe it's more interesting thing as I'm looking at this, is just the defense debuffing. We're seeing another 20%. That's very sizable given that this can hit so many targets for 12 seconds. So I really like this as a debuffy power. Has the minus fly in it. It's also got the knockback, so it's combining both what fossilize and what your immobilize there we're doing as far as the movement debuffs go. So that's interesting, but it also does not take accurate defense or defense debuff sets, which is kind of sad because I could see really turning this thing into a debuffy, like an offensive debuffy, like just shredding defenses plus your controls could really be a fun combination. 80-foot range on this one. I kind of want to keep my eye on the ranges because I noticed this in the Kinetics set that things had 60-foot range, 70-foot range, 80-foot range. I'm just curious to see how that plays with the Earth stuff. So the Fossilized has an 80-foot range, Stone Prison has an 80-foot range, so does Stone Cages. So that's good. That's on the longer side of the ranges. So that'll match up with some of your longest range Kinetics powers, but some of your Kinetic stuff is shorter than that, closer than that. So those three powers are pretty much it for direct damage attacks. The rest of your stuff is straight controls. There is some damage in there, but none of the other powers is really designed to be damaging. The only exception is your pet, of course, but that's sort of its own special thing. Quicksand, I like this power. You're gonna summon a little pseudo pet. The range on this one's 90 feet, so you can drop it up to 90 feet away. Let's see, recharge is 30 seconds, so it's definitely like permable. And I just want to see, doesn't show here. So let's go to the pseudo pet page. And we have a quicksand pet. Here it is. What is the radius? All right, so 25-foot radius. That's good. So your quicksand is actually wider in radius than the burst effects of kinetics. I'm just kind of keeping that in my mind right now because one of the problems you can run into with kinetics is that, are you standing close enough to get, buffed? So, this is you're throwing out, let's say, a transfusion, your heal, and it goes out to 60 feet. But the target, when you hit it, it bursts the heal around this thing, and the heal burst is only a 20-foot radius, so 20 feet. So if you're, 40 feet this way, you're not going to get anything. So, hey, how do I know if I'm close enough? Well, one way is I'm thinking about as I'm looking at the number here on quicksand is, well, quicksand is a 25-foot radius. So if I center mass, let's say this target with my quicksand would be 5 feet wider than the transfusion radius. So I can kind of use this as a bullseye, where I need to be. So if I throw quicksand out and I know it's got a 25-foot radius, then all I got to do is kind of get just inside of the quicksand perimeter, and I should be within that 20-foot transfusion radius. So you can use it as a marker for where you need to be standing. Other than that, though, this power has some really good debuffing on it. I mean, look at this thing. It also does minus defense, which I forgot if I had mentioned that. Well, let me go back to what's it on? Yeah, it is on the quick help here. So I just want to confirm that I had seen that earlier. So we've already hit with our three basic attacks doing minus, what was it, 20 each. So you could at this point have, minus 20 times 3. Hit a minus 60% on a single target at least, minus 20% on multiple targets with your AoE immobilize. And now you have, this 25% debuff on everybody sitting in it. So you can easily have a single target 85% of their defense debuffed, and you can have multiple targets, up to like 16 of them would have minus 45% of their defense debuffed. And you really didn't do anything, right? You dropped a patch and then you threw out your stone cages there. Easy. and you're shredding defense pretty well. This is probably why they didn't let you slot it for defense debuffs, because I could just see making these things monster minus defense powers. I mean, you're already going to be shredding defense as it is, but it'd be kind of cool to be able to slot it with like an Achilles heel resistance proc. Anybody? But boom, yeah, that's kind of its big thing as far as debuffing goes. And as from a control standpoint, it's going to have, minus movement. So minus fly, minus jumping, minus running. So things would be slowed down, unable to escape. You also have some of the minus fly from your immobilizes. So things can't fly, they can't jump, they can't run. They're going to be stuck in position, which is going to be great for what I want to do with my kinetics, right? I want to get all the enemies lumped together in one puddle, one pool, one pile, so I can go in there and get some kinetics juice off of them and go nuts. Let me think, what does this mean? -1 points at designer status? Like what? That I don't know. What is that supposed to mean? If anybody can tell me what designer status is, that would be curious. I don't have no idea what that is. -1 points at designer status. Don't know. Never heard of it. So there's a lot of stuff here I find in City of Data that makes no sense or I've never heard of before. So I'm just trying to translate things as best I can. If you've never looked at this stuff as hardcore as I'm looking at it, it's probably completely, Greek to you. So I'm going to do my best to explain it, but I don't know what that one is. All right, so there's quicksand. I think that's a great power. But really, at this point, if that's all you've taken, you don't have any controls here, right? I mean, you've got a single target hold, single target immobilize, AoE immobilize, and a patch slow. None of this stuff is going to save you from getting destroyed, from an alpha, right? You can only hold one target. All these other powers are just going to get you mashed. So early on, I don't think stone or earth controls that, over the top. It's not till you start getting the later half of the powers that things gets, pretty serious for you. Salt crystals is your next option. And as I mentioned, I typically don't take this power with earth control, just given all the things that can wake targets up, any damage, any knockdown, that sort of thing. DOT is going to ruin your salt crystals, so I don't see it being a useful power in this set. Now, early, when all you have in your career is, stone cages or something like that, yeah, I think salt crystals makes good sense then, right? You could see throwing a quicksand out, salt crystalline, sleeping everybody, because it is PBAOE, so you got to charge in there and detonate this thing. The duration on it is only 18 seconds, though. And that's kind of a little bit sad because the recharge is 45. So you're going to jump in there and sleep, and probably a bunch of guys are going to get woken up anyway. But even if they get the maximum duration, it's only 18 seconds. You then have, a 30-second gap pretty much before this thing recharges. And the only way to really get this, what, you can make it perma? You're going to have to, like, triple recharge into this power just to make it, clickable before it expires. I mean, that seems like an awful amount of investment for not much payoff. But, it's useful if early game you want to just jump in there, put a bunch of dudes to sleep, throw a kinetics, something on them, and then start waking them up with some damage. That's a fine option for you. I would say it's probably best use is right here though, as a -20% defense debuff. That's why this power, if it were to take defense resistance debuffing, which it doesn't, that would be a great, slotting option for this thing. Because then, to hell with the sleep thing, I would just turn it into a PB AoE, minus defense nuke. If I could slot it up and get like -30, -40% on it, that'd be pretty sweet. But you can't. So that's why I don't see just having that much use. It's, if it was range, that might be one thing. You can throw a sleep at range and then take off. But, if I'm going to be up in melee trying to drop this thing, that's the last thing I want to do is put people to sleep while I'm in melee. It's good for like an interruption. You can use it that way if you see some enemies, toggling up stuff or activating, some power. You can do a quick sleep on them. But other than that, not the best option. No damage with it. It doesn't even look like it has. Yeah, okay. So the only other good thing is it does have mag force. You can sleep a boss with one shot. So you can interrupt. I guess it's good for as an interrupt would be your best option for it. But trying to 4, 5, 6 slot this thing with sleep sets. I just don't see it. I don't think it's worth it at all. Then we got stalagmites. This is your best power, at least early. Level 12. This is the one you want. You're gonna take this thing. It has a great range, right? 70 feet. So again, we've got to start thinking about this because that matches. I think it's Fulcrum Shift has a 70-foot range. So if you're within range of stalagmites, you're in range of your Fulcrum Shift. But a couple of your powers only have a 60-foot range. So I have to, look at those kinetic powers because some had, I think there was one with 80, the siphon power, I think it was. There was the 60, I think was transfusion. The 70, I think was fulcrum shift. So there are, three of your, main powers are somewhere in this range. Transference is up there as well. Siphon speed has about these ranges. And then you've got controls that are 80. You got controls that are 70. So trying to keep this all straight, because if you're playing at range, especially, this is important. And, for a good chunk of fights, I probably will be in range, right? I'm going to be standing back, enemies up here, and I want to, stalagmite or whatever, so I can drill them from way back before I need to get in there with any sort of buffy, fulcrum shift stuff. So it'd be nice to kind of have things a little bit more standardized. So if I am playing back and I stalagmite, then I, want to do a siphon power, siphon speed, that sort of thing, or maybe throw a transfusion in there because I have some melee guys. Having them in a common, consistent range would be nice. But right now, they're a 20-foot difference between the main powers I have. The other thing we got to look for is 90-second recharge. You definitely want to get this power, cut down in half. You can get it down to 40 seconds, something like that, 45 seconds. Now it's going to be a consistent, every fight type of power, which is what you want because it is going to be your bread and butter control. Big old Mag 3 stun you get out of it. There is a chance for that, overpowered Mag 1 stun to kick off as well. So between those two, you're able to stun people, bosses perhaps for 11 seconds, 12 seconds, minions, lieutenants for like 15 seconds. So pretty solid. You can slot that up, right? Get 20, 30 seconds out of it. It does deal damage, so that's a good thing because you don't have a lot of other damage. So it does have AoE damage. It's just not a lot, right? You're going to do 7 damage, and you can do the double hit here with the containment value. So you can do potentially 15 damage unslotted, of course. So not a gob of damage, not huge amounts by any stretch of the imagination, but the one thing I think it opens up for you, and I don't know if I'm going to do this in my build, we'll take a look at it. It opens up your options for slotting. I can now put damage sets into this power. So this is kind of what's cool with this. But why can't you slot the defense debuff stuff in there? I would like to take a hit in the defense debuffs just to be able to slot those sets. Like if I can slot the damage, why can't I slot the debuff? Anyway, just looking at that, so you can get some. You could turn this into a damaging power instead of a stun. You could just slot it for straight up damage. It's not going to be your most powerful attack, but it's better than not having anything. That's an option. I don't think I want that way, but it's just something I'm thinking out loud. Maybe I can put some damage procs in here, some damage sets in here, and turn it into a nice, decent, big old boom power. All right, what else we got? Then we're taking a look at Earthquake. I love Earthquake. This is your second patch past Quicksand. 60-foot range on this one. 90-second recharge, so we definitely want to get that down, cut that in half if we can. Endurance is going to be a challenge. You're going to have a lot of these patch powers are going to cost about 10 each. So trying to stack all those one on top of the other is going to, drain a lot of your juice. But you've got transference to get in there and get it all back. It's going to summon the Earthquake pet. And this has a mag 0.67 knockback. So anybody without knockback protection is going to get knocked down. The only exception to that is, remember, fossilize, I think it was. And I got to double check this one. But your PB, the AoE, what was it? I think it said it did. Let me see if I can confirm this. So Stone Cages, right? It said that Stone Cages has protection. It applies to the target's 10,000% knockback resistance for 12 seconds. So if that's true, And if this works the way I think it does, then Earthquake, which does knockback of 0.67, I think your Stone Cages cancels Earthquake's knockback. So you don't want your enemies to remain standing, then you can't hit them with Stone Cages while they're on Earthquake. Just something to consider. Now, that doesn't completely nullify what Earthquake does. It nullifies its main control feature, though. But what it also does is it has a couple of debuffs it's going to apply: 10% defense, 10% to hit. This is something here that'll help, with survivability. And I think, let me check. Yeah, okay, so here, this is what's effed up. This power, this power uh, does, you can't see it, but off to the side, this power does take those debuff sets. It takes both defense and to hit debuff sets. So I could turn this into a decent debuff of both, offensive and defensive types of sides here, right? I can defense debuff makes it more offensively my character able to hit more easily. So that's why I term like an offensive debuff. And then to hit debuff, I call it defensive debuff because it's going to improve my chances of survival because now I'm not getting hit as much. So I can slot these things, but I'd get that up to maybe 15%. Get this to maybe 15-20% if I just went all in with the debuffing on it. So that's not the greatest slotting probably, but it's doable. I think especially if you're going to do that in conjunction with your secondary set. Let's say you're using Run and Dark Miasma or Dark Manipulation to get the to hit bonuses or to hit debuff bonus out of that. You could stack that, I think, pretty nicely with Earthquake. So that's an option for you, but I didn't go that way. Or you have some sort of debuffy set that has minus defense in it, like let's say Radiation Emission with Earthquake. You can kind of go after that minus defense side of things. But mainly it's supposed to be a knockback power, even though it only has a 7% chance. So overall, this is not the greatest like control power, right? It's kind of complements your other stuff. You throw Quicksand and this together, now they're slowed. Some are getting knocked back. You've just took down their minus their to hit, their defense, right? And now you can start going after them. It's nice to maybe drop it around the corner, get that debuff going, drop those two patches around the corner. That's a pretty solid opener if you can pull it off. And again, I'm seeing this designer status. I don't know what that means, but hey, it's on this power as well. Then what else we got? We also have volcanic gases is our next one. I really like volcanic gases, another patch power. This one has a whole bunch of little, whatever you call, procky things. There is geyser and there is gas. So there's two different things. The volcanic gas, when that pseudo pet gets uh, procced or whatever, it's or triggered or animated, it's doing immobilize. Then you got the volcanic ground is doing fire damage. So this is a damagey patchy power. Then you've got the geysers that this thing spews out. Thermal vents, they have holds, so you can do a mag 3 hold. It does have resistance, but I think, okay, translucency, I think that just means it can't be phased or something like that. So anyway, it does hold, mag 3. I don't think that gets the over control proc ability from what I can tell here. So you can mag 3 hold with it, not bosses though. You can put a lockdown set in here to get the +2 mag controls out of it. That's always a good option. You've got the immobilize and you've got the damage. So options. Not a ton of damage. About 3 points of fire every 2.2 seconds for 2 seconds. So I guess it procs once after you first summon it. It seems kind of weak sauce. But I think the use for these powers is stackability, to throw them all on underneath your enemies. What's the range in this one? 60-foot range for casting on that one. So 60 feet on volcanic gases. Earthquake was 60 feet, I think. Yeah, 60 feet on earthquake. And then quicksand was 90 feet. So 90 feet is your longest one. The other two are 60. So you can drop these around a corner. You can get a whole bunch of enemies just lumped between all of them. So you get slowing, you'll get knocking down, you're going to get some immobilization, you're going to get some holding, you're going to get some damage. You can proc the crap out of them to add that all up. I think that's the way to go with those powers. And the last course is your pet animate stone. This guy is like a little, I don't know, tanky dude. Kind of, kind of like Scrapper. He likes to run into melee and start lumping on things. He's got Stone Fist. That's a big old punch that has a stun chance with it, so you can stack that with your stalagmites. Seismic Smash. That's a massive, just think it's like a two-handed just chop. You beat down an enemy. That has a mag 3. I also see it does a taunt. So this is going to pull aggro off of you. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so its attacks have taunts. I bet you can't slot it for taunt, though. Nope, you can slot it for knockback, which, okay. Hurl Boulder. I don't think the only power that does knockback, I think, is Hurl Boulder. We got a stun. We got a hold. Hurl Boulder is the only one that has the knockback, and it's a 50% chance. So it's kind of weird that it lets you slot knockback when meanwhile it can hold and it can stun, but you can't slot either one of those. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So some of the slotting that you can do, or some of the sets that certain powers take or don't take, it always baffles me. So anyway, so it does do some knockback, not a ton, but it also says taunt. So this thing is going to taunt. It's going to be tanky. It's going to get things to attack it, which is great because then you are going to use your buffs on it. You're going to use your kinetics to keep it juiced up. It has 60% damage resistance, and remember your increased density is going to boost up its energy and its smashing damage resistance. So it's got 60% energy. I think it was 20% on the kinetics for increased density. So it'd be about 80% damage resistance to energy, and then smashing would be about 60%. It's kind of interesting. Smashing is a little bit low. It's 100% resistant to psionic, so anything psionic attacking, it's just going to laugh. 90% toxic, so this thing's very resistant, and I think juicing up its smashing resistance with increased density is going to be beneficial. The speed boost won't. From what I remember, pets are immune to recharge buffs, so that's not going to help it. Uh, so it's not going to attack any faster, and it really doesn't care about recovery. But you got Fulcrum Shift, you got the siphons, that's going to siphon power, that'll beef up its damage output, that's for sure. I mean, this guy's going to be, I think, easily going to be the big damager, at least for this character. So I don't think Deimos does a ton of damage all by himself. But if I can get some damage procs into these patch powers and then unleash animate stone on my enemies, I should be able to get enough juice out of what I'm shooting for with this guy. So that is his overall idea, at least with the set. So let's go ahead and take a look at his mids build and see exactly what I want with. Let me pull that up 1 second. All right, here is Deimos's mids build. Let's take a look at what we're going for. So, from Earth Control, I'm taking everything except for salt crystals. And from Kinetics, I'm taking everything except for repel. Those are the two things I talked about in the video. The first one, I just don't see the need for repel in this particular build or in a lot of Kinetics builds. Again, I know some of you out there have used it and enjoy it and make it work. Just for me, it's not my thing. I don't want to kind of have to take a power that I have to build around sort of negatively. You know what I mean? Like, wow, I'm going to take repel just so I can make it not do what it's supposed to do, which is bounce people away. Yeah, okay. To me, it just seems the antithesis of why I take a power. And Salt Crystal's already mentioned why I'm not a big fan of that one for Earth Control. All right, so the rest of the stuff I did take. I also went ahead and grabbed Fight Pool because I do know I'm going to have survivability in melee. So I'm going to get into melee some. I'm not going to live there, but I need some. I also went with Earth Mastery, so I am going to have Rock Armor, which is more of a defense set. So that'll, stack up with the defense I'm getting from combat jumping and weave. Plus, I'm going to have some of that to hit debuff going out there with stuff like Earthquake. So I've got those basic ideas going, but I'm also going to get some of that Smash Lethal from Tough, and Rock Armor is going to give me. Does it have any resistance? No. All right, so I'm just getting some basic damage resistance out of Tough to try to smooth out some of the lumps here. All right, as far as power sets, choices that I went with, the IO sets, that is. With Stone Prison, I have slotted it with Winter's Bite Superior version here. That's given me some damage resistance to Fire Cold, to recharge debuffing, movement speed debuffing, some recovery, as well as some defense. Transfusion, I've got a touch of the Nictus in there. There's a damage proc in there for the negative energy damage, so I'm going to use Transfusion not just as a heal, but it's going to give me a little bit more damage options, right? I can be able to proc the negative damage every now and then. Some hit points, accuracy, healing, and max N for that. I'm getting Fossilized slotted up with a Thunderstrike. Going to get some recovery, some more defense here, some accuracy, some movement speed. Stone Cages, this is where I'm putting the energy font from Superior Overpowering Presence. So I have that 6 slotted with my controller ATO. We're going to get, what do you got? Enhancements for your control powers. It gives you hit points. It gives you some Smash Lethal resistance. Gives you recovery. Gives you defense as well. So I'm building up some defenses and some resistances here and there. Quicksand, Impeded Swiftness. I got a damage proc sitting in that one. Smash Lethal resistance. So hopefully I'll get some mileage from that. Boxing, of course. Siphon Power, I've got accuracy and endurance reduction. I'm going to use this in my attack chain, right? Because I don't have like a pure attack chain with straight up blast, that kind of thing. But I do have an attack chain of just stuff I can click and shoot at my enemies. And this is going to kind of be an attack because it's going to boost my damage by, what is it, 20% for controllers. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the controllers, and I don't think I went through any specific differences, but controllers in general, their buff numbers are weaker than defenders. I know that's part of the main hypothesis in this entire series is, hey, defenders have higher buff numbers. But here I'm just kind of show the exact numbers we're talking about, right? So we're looking at, for Siphon Power, on the defender side it was a 20% buff. Here on the controller side it's 20. I think the damage numbers here, I'm not 100% sure again the difference between these. I think this is the debuff number, if I'm not mistaken, against the enemies. But again, I'm not 100% sure how mids, organizes things. It's confusing sometimes when I'm looking at the stuff. But anyway, you're going to get some damage buffing from Siphon Power. Stalagmites, I have this puppy slotted as, Franken slotted with some procs and stuff. Posi's chance for damage is in there. Annihilation, chance for resistance debuff. I got Bombardment, chance for fire damage. And then I've got 3 slots of Absolute Amazement, a purple set in there. Recovery, and some more fire cold resistance. And this is going to give me those better accuracy numbers because the purple sets are just generally a bit beefier, especially if you +5 them. And then I'm also going with the chance for the to hit debuff from Absolute Amazement. That's got a 7.5% debuff proc chance. So that's going to help stack with my other stuff I'm doing with Earthquakes minus to hit. And what's the duration on this? Yeah, 10 seconds. So that's not bad. 10-second minus 7.5% debuff. You kind of throw that in there with Earthquake that has and the way I've got it slotted with Dark Watchers. This is a 14% debuff. So, it's a good, like, whatever, half of this one, but combined, these two things are going to give me some level of protection because I'm going to be a little bit more defense based for my mitigation than resistance. But I've got Stalagmites 6 slotted with, 4 procs, 2 are debuffs, 2 are damage procs, and I've just got the extra purpley stuff in order to get some of the basic numbers as high as I can make them. So that power's ready to go. Tough, I've got Unbreakable Guard in there with the max hit point unique. So this is going to just give me some more hit points. You're going to give me some damage resistance to smash lethal, and then the set bonuses endurance discount, some energy negative damage resistance, some more defense I'm getting out of this. Siphon speed, throw 2 tempered readinesses in there for the recovery, because endurance is going to be an issue with this guy even with kinetics, so I got to watch out for that. Earthquake, already mentioned the Dark Watchers, 4 slotted there, hit points, recovery, recharge. But I've got the Lady Grey and I got the Explosive Strike. So Earthquake does let you slot more than just, the basic stuff, unlike some of these damage resistance or defense debuffy things that don't take defense debuffs, which is, again, kind of sad. Like, I should be able to put a defense debuff in Quicksand. I don't see why I can't. But I can't. Earthquake I can. That's the difference. It's kind of silly. But anyway, got Lady Grey in there, and I've got other damage proc, Explosive Strike. Increased density, I threw 2 more Unbreakable Guards here for another endurance discount. Speed boost, I've got the preemptive optimization for maximum endurance. Weave, I've got a couple Luck of the Gamblers for the regen, plus I got just the global recharge boost, which I like. Volcanic gases, I've got that sucker. Frankenslotted, I've got 2 neuronic shutdowns. 1 with the damage proc, give me some more smash lethal resistance. Then I've got 2 Ghost Widows in there, movement speed, got a damage proc, got the accuracy recharge on both, got the damage proc from Posy in there, and then I just have our straight level 50 plus 5 recharge from volcanic gases so I can get that power out as often as I can. Recharge is 110 seconds on this thing, so here, let me do my little pop-out window so you can see. So I've got recharge, 110 seconds. What's the duration? Duration, I think that's just the individual little puffs. There's 5.3. It sits out there for a while. Let's see. Stalagmites recharging that one is 47 seconds. Duration is about 20. Earthquake recharge is 44 seconds. I just want to see if I click. Yeah, so when I do siphon speed, so I'll shave off some of my recharge in these powers. Stalagmites, yeah, I'm going to have that down to, if I get around 45 seconds, I'm happy. So I got 43 in this one. Quicksand's recharge is 18 seconds. Earthquake, 40 seconds. Volcanic gases, 100 seconds. So, a lot of my patchy, every, mob patch controls, whatever that I'm trying to make them every mob, they're pretty good. I think they're pretty close to where I want them to be. You can always use a little bit more recharge. Inertial reduction, I've got the Blessing of the Zephyr in there to give me some knockback protection. 2 slotting gives me some more defense bonuses. Combat jumping, I've got the Luck of the Gambler in there. I've also got the global shield wall, resistance to everything, power unique in there. Close this for a second. Then we got Animate Stone with the Expedient Reinforcement. This is going to have resistance, you're going to get damage, you're going to get recharge, you're going to get some regen. And I've got the resistance bonus aura for pets, so to make him even tankier, a little bit more resistance. So between that, and I forget the exact numbers on the resistance on this thing, it's like 5 or 10% damage resistance, I think. Plus, I'm throwing in my increased density. So these 2 things, plus Animate Stone's just natural high resistance, are going to make this guy really damn tanky. And then I can heal him anyway, so he'll be fine. Transference, I've got preemptive optimizations, 5 slotted, max endurance, hit points, resistance to toxic and psi, recharge, defense. So I'm stacking more and more of these bonuses for survivability. Fulcrum, 3 slotted, accuracy, recharge, endurance. The recharge in this one is 31 seconds, so that's going to be, every combat this thing will be up. The duration is 45, so it's effectively perma. Fisher, I've got another winter set here, the Frozen Blast. This is a little short range targeted AoE, and that's going to give me some more resistance to fire and cold, more resistance to movement speed and recharge speed debuffing. Gonna get some recovery, gonna get some more defense out of that thing. Rock armor, I've got the reactive defenses in there. I put the scaling damage resistance unique in there. You've got resistance to smash lethal, hit points, resistance to fire cold, endurance discount. Then seismic smash, I've got the superior blistering cold. So I'm getting a lot of the winter sets so that I can get other types of damage resistance than just smash lethal from tough and that other basic stuff. So I'm getting as much, you know, non smash lethal as I can muster. Plus, I'm getting the defense bonuses on top of everything else. And also, I'm getting the recharge debuff resistance because I don't want to be slowed down. I want to be able to move quickly with this guy. And then last but not least, we've got Earth's Embrace, kind of a, level 49 single slotted pick. Gives you some, like a way to self heal, although I think it's technically maximum hit points. Anyway, so there is your main powers that I've taken. Then we're going to go ahead and take a look at my other stuff. I've got health down here slotted with the chance for absorb. I could swatch this. I could turn this to a panacea for the heal and endurance if I do have endurance issues. And I got stamina just two slotted with some level 55 standard IOs. All right, so let's take a look at my just raw numbers, my totals at this point. Let me shut off stuff that I don't want to confuse things with. Let's see, let's turn off quicksand for seconds. The lag mites. Let's shut these guys off because don't want to make anything fake. So I got tough. Let's turn off siphon speed for a second. Turn off earthquake. Got weave running. I'll probably have inertial reduction click. So yeah, I might as well. And then rock armor's activated. Combat jumping's on. So here's just sort of my basic setup without all these procs firing. Let me go ahead and pop out window. So here's what I'm looking at. Defenses for smash lethal, not too bad, right? 37, 38%. Energy negative 24, 25, something like that. So pretty decent here for these type defenses. Survivable as long as I don't get just mashed by 30 guys. Smash lethal resistance 42 and fire cold resistance 35. So that's covering me for some of the most common damage types out there. Energy though is a little bit lower than I'd like it because that, from what I've been able to find, energy damage is pretty prevalent in the higher level game. My recovery numbers are looking at 0.98 on the drain and 3 on the recovery. So I got a nice 3-to-1, which I love that. So I should be good. Although as I'm spamming attacks and powers, that's always going to be a risk. Recharge 30% global. It's not awesome, but it's a little bit better. When I do hit siphon speed, though, you can see that pops up to 50. So I'm getting that 20% buff there. So assume I'm hitting with that. So I'll leave that clicked. So that's going to be good for this character. Then I want to see if I can show... Oh gosh, what is it? Advanced totals, miscellaneous buffs. I just want to see if this shows up. So here is, I'm going to look at the damage buffing. So if siphon power clicks, does that affect this number is what I want to see. Let me scoot this out of the way where there's siphon power. All right, so here's the numbers. So siphon power goes off. Does that boost? Yeah, all right, so it goes and gives me that 20% damage boost siphon to my overall damage, siphon power. And then let's see what Fulcrum Shift does. Does that do anything? Fulcrum, yeah. So Fulcrum is a stock 50%, and then I can get more damage boosting from if I'm in reach of the enemies in that 20-foot burst around them. And this was actually pointed out to me by a poster on YouTube based upon my last video because I wasn't 100% sure how Fulcrum Shift works. There's actually 2 different bursts. The way it was explained. So the initial, you attacking the enemy, that thing pops damage buffing to any of you or your allies that are standing near it within 20 feet. I think it's like 20% per target you hit, up to 10 targets. So like a maximum 200% boost. But at the same time, a 50% damage boost pops off around you. So if you are near your allies, they're going to get 50%. And then you can get the other percent from the enemies being drained. So you can easily cap yourself. I mean, you can see right now I'm at 183. just with hitting somebody with Fulcrum Shift and Siphon Power. And I think damage cap on controller is like 250 or something like that. So I can get another 70% pretty easily just by standing in melee with my Fulcrum Shifted targets. So I definitely going to be capping. Problem is damage capping what? I don't have a lot of attacks is my issue. So I'm definitely going to rely upon procs. I'm definitely going to have to hope, Fissure and Stone Cages steps up. And I really need my pet to just go ham on the enemies. But there you go. That's what that thing is going to give me. All right, then as far as the rest of this goes, hey, what about my incarnate choices? Because that's going to sort of be the fill in the blanks here. If we go down and take a look at what's going on, so what I've gone with on the alpha is, where is it? Nerve. So nerve is accuracy, right? I need accuracy. I need to hit. Hold duration because I am pretty skimpy on my overall controls, right? My stone prison's not slotted as a hold. And volcanic gases, mostly have it as a damage proc bomb, so I need to get some more control. And then defense buffs, of course, is going to help all my defensive power. So if I activate this thing, let's go ahead and go back to the pop-out window, turn on nerve, and let's see, my defense numbers are going up about 4 or 5%. So that's pretty good for that. Then my hold duration on volcanic gases, let's take a look. So volcanic gases, I don't know if it's going to show because it's like a pseudo pet, so it might not. All right, so the hold, and these are I think it procs the hold repeatedly, so it says only it's 5 seconds, but I think it's a constant puff of this toxic gas for the duration of the patch, and it will pop from 5.5 to 7.25 seconds. So it's not bad. Stone prison, same idea here. Actually, wait, it's not stone prison. I want fossilize. Fossilize. Let's take a look. We're going from a 23-second hold up to 30, so pretty good once that hits, and that's really unslotted. I don't have it slotted as a hold at all. Then what else we take? We're going with diamagnetic. That's having some minus to hit and some minus regen. So I think I want to get some more debuff with this guy. That's why I went with diamagnetic. And the minus to hit is going to help stack with some of my other stuff that I've been packing here. So if you remember, I've got Earthquake slotted as a debuff, right? So this is going to give me some minus 14% here. I also had put that chance for the to hit debuff Absolute Amazement over here in the stalagmites. That was another 7.5. So 7.5, 14, that's 21, 22% debuff. And then your diamagnetic over here is applying a 5% debuff for 8 seconds. So, that's going to contribute to, and I guess it doesn't stack. I think it just replaces. So I should be able to have a 5% debuff, though, perma on every target because I'm going to be hitting them with stone cages and stuff. So that should be proccing quite often. So I don't know, what's that going to be? 5, 12.5, 26, about 27% to hit debuff. Plus I've got some decent defenses here. So I think the combination should give me some sizable damage mitigation. Just add that all. Plus I'm just flat out controlling people who can't attack me. And then the minus regen is going to help me take down hard targets like AVs in combination with transfusions minus regeneration. Then I went with my standard Clarion on my squishy types. Status protection, of course, is a must, but it also has range, so I don't think you can poo-poo range, especially with what I'm trying to do here. Because with the range boosting, I'm going to be able to drop those patches further. I'm going to be able to activate those siphons from longer range, so it's definitely going to be useful there. But of course, the specials are really what I love Clarion for. So if you check out my defense numbers, again, I'm going from 41 up to 58 now when I click Clarion. So now I've got some really good numbers as far as defense goes. And the specials should be boosting. And I want to check this. Does it boost my minus defense? What I want to know. So the minus defense says 36. What if I shut Clarion off again? Does that? Yeah, so check that out. Check that out, homies. So my minus defense numbers are jumping 16% with Clarion activated. That's beautiful. So all this minus defense, here's quicksand. Without Clarion, it's 25. With Clarion, freaking 45%. So Clarion is going to turn this guy into a controlling, debuffing beast. Gonna love it. It's gonna pop all my other freaking buffs too. You know, it should help my heals, should help my endurance. I mean, shoot, that thing's gonna be awesome. And then we're going with Pyronic as my big old boom boom Judgment. That's got stun. I went with the stun side, so that'll stack with stalagmites. So I'm going to be able to stomp with stalagmites, hit them with Pyronic, and then I've got the big old stunning, what is it, Seismic Smash power. I think Fisher also has a stun, or no, knockback. Yeah, it does have a stun. So Fisher also can stun, right? So you can see I'll be stun stacking like a beast. That's going to be awesome. Then let's not forget Support Core. So Support Core is going to boost my defenses even more. See, I went left, so that means that I went with the pet side. So boom, check this out. Defenses are now up to about 80% for Smash Lethal. Energy negatives 50%. Fire Cold is 30-ish, 39. Positionals are 40s. So that's beautiful. Boosting defenses, boosting specials again. So specials, I wonder what the hell the specials are on Quicksand now. Let's see if this boosted that again. Let's see, Quicksand, does it show me? No, it's not going to show me. Boo. All right. Well, anyway. So 45%. What does it do with Stone Person? Maybe it'll show me there. No, I swear the specials from support don't actually go through to the powers, even though I know they do in the game itself, but I don't see it carrying through the other specials here. Let's see if it shows. Does the hold go up at all? Let's see. Mobilize. Let's go fossilize. Turn on support core. Yeah, so it shows the hold numbers increasing. You guys can't see because my head's in the way. So yeah, it's definitely increasing the holds, but it's not showing an effect on the defense specials. Anyway, so support core, boom. That's also going to help Stony, your pet, stay alive. And then last but not least, I've got the Clockwork as my pets. So I want the core side. So I have these two guys out. I mean, I think this guy's going to really heavily dependent as pets. So I'm going to have Stony out going crazy. I'll get the energy font proc. And then I'm going to have the support. Sorry, not support, the Clockwork core. So I'm going to have the boss and the lieutenant at tier 4, although I think I'm only tier 3 with that one. So I should have 3 to 4 pets out at all times. And if I can get them kinetically buffed, this guy should be an F and at least be able to put out some damage on some fools. I'm hoping. Well, there you go. That is Deimos's build. The only thing left to do now is I'm going to run a quick solo mission. Knock on wood, quick. Hopefully it is quick. And just kind of showcase what these powers do in the real game. So hold on for a minute while I go get COH fired up. Get a mission queued up, and we'll run through his paces and see what he can do. I'll be right back. All right, here we are. I got Deimos unpacked, ready to do his thing on this mission. Set to level 50 times 8, taking on Archon Balaji and his boys. Gonna go ahead and summon my pet here. Turn on sprint that has stealth in it. Get Stony out. Get my little blue wisp out. Hold off on the lore pets for a second so I get a little bit closer to fighting. Boost up with speed boost and my increased density. I have these key bound to my letter T and Y on my keyboard, so it's right near where my index finger is as I'm, moving around the map here. So if I tab target, I have tab key bound to cycle through allies, and then I just go T, Y, bang, bang. Just hit them like that. Or if I have a team, I have the team window open as TY without really looking. All right, here enemies are ready. Let's get these J-holes up here. Summon these dudes. Already boosted up. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a little sneaky Pete around the corner here. All these a-holes. Let's volcanic gas their ass. Gas them. Turn the pets on aggressive. Crunchy crunches. These guys get out of my way, guys. Whoa. Alright, so we're good. Juiced up. Ready? Alright, I'm going to eat a perp. Throw this around the corner. And boom. Dude, I am moving like crazy speed. Somebody just got evaporated. I gotta get my damage numbers up on my display here. I'll do it right after this. Okay, builder took a hit. Let's get him juiced. Let's go. Combat attributes. I want to know what my base damage is. Damage bonus. There we go. Monitor damage. All right, now I'm at 200%. All right, it just dropped down. All my buffs went. All right, boom. Get this. Let's go ahead and open with a little patch. At 120% damage. Gone. Let's go over here. Open with that. Buff up the pets. I gotta shake some rust off this guy. It's like freaking lit that guy up. These guys like to hang at range, huh? Okay, we're gonna kind of duck the corner, drop a patch, let the pets get in there. Yeah, I get that res going, boys. Could have sworn I had the TP protection. Let me open up my window. Maybe I didn't slot it. Yeah, right there, teleport protection. Felt like I got TP'd. There we go. Get my fellas up here. Stony, where are you at, boy? Summon him again. Boost him. I'm gonna eat just a couple Skittles and do this. I'm gonna go in here and stalag first. Jesus, I am like moving too fast. I'm gonna turn off sprint. I'm like just running like crazy. There we go. Damage cap is 300. All right. I mean, it's not a challenge really. The only problem I'm having is my control of running crazy. I hit a couple of these sludge valleys and just go bouncing. There we go. All right, so we got a group right there. Do the same thing as I did before. Go ahead and put volcanic gases. Put quicksand. Drop earthquake. Let's get some siphoning going in here. There's our font. I like the double seismic smash. It's always fun. I feel like I have just enough attacks to make this doable. And what is it? Seismic smash. I do have the chance to hold a net, so that's another little extra. That's when you see the guys iced over. Alright, so we got this group here. I think I'm just going to chuck this. And I hit him with this. This is double stun. Sony, how about you get over there and do something? Come on, buddy. They're attacking me. Don't you want to do something? I like that Stoney can just handle himself. I can drop him off. All right, I'm going to drop this down here. Drop that. I don't know. Stoney's not very reactive to my safety here. Feel like his sensors. Enemies over here. Smoke that shit. Alright, Stoney, where are you at? Oh, that's not good. Alright, let's back up. Let's get a defensive position here. Alright, I got Stoney another 5 seconds. Just gotta hold tight for that. Let's get him right here. Let's stay tight on Stoney. Go into support mode. Keep him alive, I stay alive. Wish he'd stick with the target. Stay on target. Light that guy up. I got a little sketchy there for a second. Aggro that second group. But that's the kind of the cool thing with Stoney. I just sort of play defense behind him and let him just take the beating. Just keep him alive, buffed, and smashing crap. But there you go. I mean, he's not like the greatest solo guy out there. But I think on a team, he's got the buffs to support his pet and his teammates. Then you got the controls. So I think between those two things, he should be survivable and be, powerful asset to the team. I just don't know if he's necessarily gonna increase the offensive, stuff. So it'll be interesting. Now, if the teams take a lot of damage, I think is where the sketchiness is going to be. Because if I'm trying to hit transfusions and keep people alive rather than just freaking controlling keep people alive. And I wouldn't say he's like the big alpha controller either. Like when I was playing my gravity there in DEFCON 3, I was able to wormhole alpha and just drop stuff where I wanted. This guy is more of a kind of a follower, and he can drop the crap around the corner. If he is leading alpha, then people have to be patient while he is doing stuff like that, because he needs a chance to drop 1, 2, 3 patches around the corner before people go in there. Other than that, I need to open with stalagmites and pyronic. That's a double deadly stunning boom boom combo. I like that. All right, well there you are. That is Deimos's solo. The next thing we're going to do is put together a 5-person team. Run the stat chat log on that one, or log chat. Crunch the numbers, and then lather, rinse, repeat with my defender Chakra. I think his solo is going to be a lot more sketchy because he doesn't have the level of control. Like if that last little encounter there happened with him, I think he would be in big trouble because he doesn't have the ability just to hide behind Stoney and throw some controls down. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next video. Have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.